Hello, Matthew from SIME here. In this short video, we want to focus on Instant, a feature that was introduced in Peakto, and we think it's a real game changer. You're probably familiar with the concept of versions in many photo editing apps. You start from a shot and you create variations. In Peakto, we bring this feature to a whole new level. In Peakto, all variations of a shot can be displayed in the same view, whether they exist in catalogs or whether they exist as simple files. We call this an instant. And using instants, you can gain new insight on your edits, as well as trace back the full editing history of a shot. And this is what I'm going to show you right now. Instants are visible in the main interface through the little badge that you can see at the top right corner of every image that lives inside an instant. So if I look at this image, for example, this one has a badge that's telling me that two versions exist. And I'm looking potentially at those two versions because they all live in my current selection. The image next to it has also two versions, but I can only view one of them only one of them lives in my current selection, the other one is somewhere else. So if I want to get insight about the versions that I have, I can double click on the image. And here it's telling me, okay, here my version is here in Lightroom, my current selection, and the other version that it has found is living elsewhere, in that case in Apple Photos. If we look at this instant, it's a bit more complex here. I have two versions in my current selection and four more, three in Apple Photos and one in the file. Those three versions might live in the same Apple Photos catalog, I don't know, but this one is in a different file. So this is how we display instants, and they really give you insight about the variations that might exist for an image. If I click on this one, for example, this image is currently in my selection. It appears here as a Lightroom version, and there are no versions elsewhere. So it's also a great way to know whether an image exists in another catalog. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to look at this particular catalog that is called Photo Instance. And I have a variation of that catalog that I've done in Lightroom that has almost the same images, but with different kinds of edits. And I'm going to add it now to Peakto. As you can see, I've edited the images and I changed the look and feel by changing the color toning. Let's select those two catalogs at the same time. I can see now the number of versions that I have here. Here I have my Apple Photos version and I have my Lightroom versions. So I have two in the Lightroom catalog. Same for this one. I can see the various variations. Let's add the Luminar catalog that has the same images, well, with slight variations. So, for example, this image has been completely modified in Luminar by changing the sky. If I click on it, here is the original, here is the slightly modified version in Lightroom, and here is the Luminar version which has a different crop, but also a completely different sky. So Peakto is able to detect when an image when two versions share the same master, even if there are different files, different copies of those masters, and it will try to reconcile those images together. To illustrate further, I'm going to now take a folder of images that contains 6 versions of the same image, but with different crops, different angles, etc., different composition. And I'm going to drop it into Peakto. See what happens. So in that case, it has detected that those images are the same. It has created 2 groups based on content. Obviously, they are the same. So when you have a miss like that, here is a bit extreme because I'm doing this on like for a demo purpose, but you can fix that and say, oh, actually, these are the same instant, and you can just merge them. Same if Peakto gets it wrong and puts in the same instance images that shouldn't be there. Like, for example, if we go back to this one, and I look at, well, those 2 images are considered to be the same in Peakto because they are fairly similar, and the date difference between the 2 is really small. These were part of a shot with multiple images. So I can actually want to split those images in 2 different instances. And now they live separately. Or I can decide to put them together if I really want them to be together. But you have the flexibility to decide if you think Peakto did it wrong on an instant. Let's look at another great application of instance. Here I have an image which already has several versions in various apps. And I really like this one from Apple Photos. So I'm going to open it up in Apple Photo. I'm going to export it as a file because I want to do something with it later on. So I'm going to export it, and I'm going to put it in a folder that is already watched by Peakto. It's called My Exports. There's a subfolder in there, and I'm going to export it right there. If I go back to Peakto, the My Exports folder is indicated as needing a synchronization because something has changed underneath. So the photo appears right here in my new folder. If I double click and look at the instant, I can see that it belongs to the same instant as the other versions I already had in Apple Photos, Lightroom, and Luminar. Let's switch to Apple Photos. And it's right there. My export sits in the same instant. So this is a great way to keep things together. If I have images that I edit in my editing apps, and I create exports as JPEGs, as TIFFs or whatever, and I put them in a folder that is indexed by Peakto, the image will be automatically added to the already existing instant for that image, or a new instant will be created if it's the first variation that I export, and things will be kept together. So you see, instants give you a great way to track not only the changes that happen in the versions, but also what are the various files, exports that have happened along the life of a single shot. We hope this was useful. We will keep leveraging instance in future releases by improving the display and adding more data. With Peakto, it's really time to enjoy your photos. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more content, and see you soon in the next video for more tips.